back with the final installment of this little Street View series. It's been really fun traveling to past versions of Kings Island and Cedar Point, and where better to end our journey than my own home park of Canada's Wonderland. Although this video is part of a 3-video series, you can kinda watch them in any order you want. Although I will be calling back to those other 2 videos, so if you don't want to get kinda spoiled on them, you could go watch those first and come back here later. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the show.
So as long as I just do not touch the mic cable or knock the mic, we should be good to go. I think it might actually be worth it to step a little bit away from the park the first time that we come down, and okay, it's July 2022. Never mind. This does actually give you kind of a good frame of reference though, to see what the park looks like in a modern light. You get to take in the front entrance here, because as soon as you step over here, everything's a bit different. Similar to Cedar Point, Canada's Wonderland's front gate has undergone a very big change. Not as big as Cedar Point's, but, well, in some regards it is actually bigger, because, you know, there's a whole giga coaster over top of the gate that just doesn't exist in 2011. Someone pointed out as well that Bicycle Man is probably just like one of the actual people from Google who was doing this street view, and that would actually make a lot of sense. I don't think it's Bicycle Man with this one from Canada's Wonderland, but I do remember seeing him on the street view for Michigan's Adventure as well, and so that would make sense to me. You can see that back there, that little path that you could get to from the parking lot to get up here. It kind of separated these grass islands. That's not there anymore. This is because obviously this is where Leviathan's turnaround is. Over here, these ticket places have changed a bit. The signage is a bit different. This really long switchback is still here for some reason, but just a bunch of the signage, like you don't see this movie reel stuff anymore. I wonder why. A lot of this is all remnants from when Paramount still owned the park. I feel like you see a lot more remnants of Paramount at Canada's Wonderland during this time than we did at Kings Island. Like even on the ticket sales sign there, you can see the stars, which is another thing of the Paramount branding. As well, another minor change, well it's sort of minor, but the Canada's Wonderland sign has been replaced. Instead of it being this red and white sign on this plinth here, it's on that back, the entrance building on the back, that sort of heavily steeped roof. It's now on there, and it's a lot bigger of a sign. I should also mention as well, the first time that I ever went to Canada's Wonderland was 2013, so there are going to be a couple of things in here that I'm not entirely knowledgeable on. Just keep in mind that this is a bit before my time, so if I don't bring up something that is different from nowadays, then it might just be because it got changed between 2011 and 2013. I brought up during Cedar Point and Kings Island that you don't really see these pop-up stands a ton, and that does continue with Canada's Wonderland, although I feel like there are more, or at least I've noticed more of these types of things at Canada's Wonderland. Like this little Coca-Cola place here, or these little just things that sell random novelties. Nowadays, the one that I can always think of is that around 4 p.m. maybe, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., as more people are starting to leave the park and enter the park, there's sometimes little carts that they bring out just in front of the exit here that sell bubble wands, and they sometimes have a cooler of drinks and stuff like that. This gift shop here is probably the best example of the sort of Paramount era remnants that you get at Canada's Wonderland. And you can even notice, even if you weren't super knowledgeable about the history of Wonderland, you can tell that this sign was made at 2 separate points in the park's history, because they're different fonts and different colors, because this Thrills R is from the Paramount era, and then this is using the modern Cedar Fair Wonderland font. And you can, again, still see the Paramount logo in the background of that, which I think is really interesting. A couple of shops on International Street have changed around a little bit, but for the most part, it's fairly similar to how it is nowadays. This Rusty's Corn Dogs is now I want to say that it's a snow cone place, or like an icy place, and then this Mr. Sub tucked in the corner here is now a Subway. We're going to do a full lap of International Street first, and then we're going to go probably just flip a coin again and then figure out where we go around the rest of the park. It's hard to tell just on the outset because all of the buildings have been the same pretty much since they were first built with Taft, but there is a couple of smaller differences. Just the interiors of the shops, which obviously you can't see, but this candy place, half of it, I think only last year got turned into a Squishmallows like place, and then the streetwear place got turned into the candy store that's right there. It just kind of slid over. I realized that I forgot actually to include a map comparison in the Cedar Point video, but I will be putting up I will remember to put up a map comparison for Canada's Wonderland. I did still bring up a 2023 map of Cedar Point, but I forgot to put up one from 2011. That's on me. Does this little gift shop here not have any signage for it? I can't tell if it does, because this is the... Gosh, what's it called? North something gifts. It's like a Canadian themed one nowadays. That's odd. This place doesn't have a name. It's just a nondescript Canada's Wonderland gift shop, I guess. I really hope it's just something with the camera here because, man, that is a very dingy gift shop if that's what the lighting actually looks like inside of it. It's kind of funny. For all of the changes that Wonderland's had, this little pizza standee guy has always been here. And he's still here to this day, which I actually kind of like. Wait. Shoutouts to this group over here. You guys are cool. It's weird not seeing this section of International Street be just absolutely crammed full of 1,000 people. And that's because this International Cafe nowadays is where a Tim Hortons is. But back then it was just a teriyaki Japanese place in Manchukuo. Manchukuo is still here. I think it's slid over to this part of the building, but right in here is big Tim Hortons now. And so this spot of the park is always absurdly crowded because you have 20,000 people a day going to this Timmy's. I wonder what time of day they went around the park at as well. Because you can see a lot of people here now. Like there's a massive swarm of people here at the height check, but then the rest of the International Street is pretty uncrowded. Which is strange because like nowadays, this funnel cake place, the line for this after like 4 p.m. is it wraps all the way around these buildings here. A recent change to the parks, recent as in like the beginning of this season I think, was this Varsity Club here. It got turned into another generic Canada's Wonderland store. I don't really have much to say on it. I had literally never gone into this store when it was Varsity Club, despite being at Wonderland like 15 times when it was around. Wait, they had a press penny machine at Wonderland? Aww. Makes sense why they don't anymore. I mean, pennies haven't existed in Canada since 2011. Okay, now we have to make the choice on where we go, whether we want to go to Grand World, whether we want to go to Medieval Fair, or whether we want to go to International Showcase. I don't have a 3-sided coin.
Yeah, so not even 15 minutes into the recording, and I knocked my mic and caused the audio to just completely mess up. From here on out, I'm going to be using noise suppression on it to try to block out some of that noise, but it's not going to be the best. So, hey, if you would be so kind as to drop a sub to the channel, each one would get me one step closer to getting an actually good mic for this channel.
Okay, let me get back over here. I got my copy of Cedar Point Monopoly. It was just the first board game that I found in their cupboard. It didn't have to be Cedar Point Monopoly, but yeah. This is cool. I kind of want to do a video on it someday. Maybe I will. 1 to 2 is going to be Grand World Expedition. 3 and 4 is going to be Medieval Fair. 5 and 6 is going to be International Showcase. Okay, so now we're going to roll this dice. It's a 2, so we're going to Grand World Exposition. I didn't really have a preference for that, which is why I just rolled the dice. But Grand World Expedition is interesting, so I'm happy that we get to go down. It's an area of the park that not a lot of people really talk about, but it's also an area of the park that's undergone way more changes than when the park initially opened. All of the stuff from the Paramount era doesn't really fit into Grand World Exposition, and Cedar Fair is not really helping things. This little gift shop here, I don't actually know if anything's in this building anymore. I know for 2021, they had this as a 40th anniversary gift shop, and then I can't remember. I think that it was just like shuttered for 2022, or maybe they brought back the old-timey photos. I can't entirely remember. I just know that it's different from how it is nowadays. Ugh. What did they sell in that truck? Is it just hot dogs? That looks like it. They don't have that anymore. And they don't have this little standy thing here anymore. I'm sorry, is Flight Deck's queue at the entrance? Oh my god. It is. People are queued out to the entrance to ride Flight Deck. Oh no. Please don't let that be the case for Time Warp. Please don't let that be the case for Time Warp. What are you doing, guys? No! No! What are you doing? Get away from there! Go! Get out of there! Well, you still can. Oh my god. Why are the supports for Time Warp 2 different colors? Did they just, like, start doing a repaint of it and then just gave up? I swear, they actually just did. They said, we're gonna repaint the first, like, 15 feet of the supports, and then we're just not gonna do the rest. I love that. Also, I think the track got repainted too, because that looks a lot more faded out than it does now. Kingswood doesn't exist anymore, the big music theater here. That got closed off permanently in 2021, I think. And then now we're just waiting for it to get torn down so they can put a mock multi-launch here. That's what I want, at least. I want a mock multi-launch here. That'd be cool. There's a lot more people that are posing for the Street View camera here than there were at Cedar Point and Kings Island. I probably missed a couple at those parks. Something that's really interesting that I didn't actually consider until now is that the dynamics of where people are going to be going in the park is going to be a lot different from now. Because between 2011 and 2023, they've added 3 coasters that are hugely popular, that are like huge crowd gatherers, and they've taken one out as well that got a pretty good amount of people for it. And so the dynamics of where people are going in the park is entirely different now. That's something that I didn't consider with Kings Island and Cedar Point. A lot of that as well is just because a lot of the staples of those parks were already around by the time that I was doing this. So stuff like Diamondback at Kings Island or Maverick and Millennium at Cedar Point, those were already there. It was just a couple of other rides, like Mystic Timbers obviously didn't exist at Kings Island, Steel Vengeance didn't exist at Cedar Point. Those were like the big ones that shook up the crowds a bit, but even then not to that much extent, because Cedar Point in the area still has Maverick, Kings Island in that area still has the Beast and Diamondback. But with Canada's Wonderland, it's very different to how it is nowadays, just because the only coasters in the areas that nowadays have big crowd draws, the only coasters there are Mighty Canadian Mindbuster, Wild Beast, and Dragonfire. And those are less popular coasters. That's full queue out of the queue. Just like Max Air, I guess pendulum rides were a lot more popular in 2011 than they are now. I started saying that with like the hope that I was going to insert a clip from the Cedar Point video, but then I realized that that was when the audio was completely destroyed in this Cedar Point video, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I have no idea why that happened, by the way, but I'm going to try not to do that again this video. If it's already happened, I'm really sorry. The Sledgehammer closed. Oh my god, that's perfect. Sledgehammer is closed. No better of a picture of this ride could you have gotten than Sledgehammer just being straight up closed during the street view go around. That is actually hilarious to me. If you didn't know, the Sledgehammer is almost never open. It goes down like half of the time. There's a reason why it's the only one ever built. Ooh, we get to talk about a defunct ride. That's something that we don't get to talk about a lot with this park. Not a lot of things have been removed from Wonderland. Yeah, Orbiter. Amazingly enough, I actually have a really vivid memory of riding Orbiter in 2013. It is one of like 8 memories that I have of that 2013 trip. Nowadays though, Orbiter is removed. It got removed in 2019, and there's a path in this section. I think it starts like where this little cobblestone path is here, but there's a path that leads back into Frontier Canada now, where Orbiter used to be. And in Winterfest, it gets turned into a nice little like archway that has a lot of really cool lights over it. Ooh, Behemoth is also way out of the queue today. I was thinking when we were in International Street that it's not going to be that crowded here today. I was wrong. Wow, that's a lot of people for Behemoth. I can understand why the park was so eager to invest in Leviathan and get people out of these queues and into a different one. Did they not have Fastlane at this time too? It doesn't look like they're the 2 separate queue lines. I can't tell. When did Fastlane get added to the parks? I have that in the script for A Wonderful Park, don't I? Insert the clip.
The same year as Leviathan, Canada's Wonderland also introduced the very controversial Fastlane and Fastlane Plus systems of the Cedar Fair chain. This is a system where guests are able to wait in a reduced queue for certain attractions at an upcharged cost.
Aw, I can't go over and see Backlot. There's no street view over there. Dang it. I don't think it's super different, but one thing that has been changed is that for only Canada's Wonderlands, not for King's Islands, not for King's Dominions, for only Canada's Wonderlands Backlot clone, the like billboard, like the thing that you shoot out at the end of the ride at the ride's finale, they removed all of the signage off of that. I think they did that in 2021. I don't know why. It's kind of really annoying to me, just because it's just a blank corrugated metal wall now. That's pretty much it for Grand World and Action Zone though. Not a lot has changed, and that's because not a lot has been added. Grand World Exposition has been severely shafted by the park. The last edition that it got was Time Warp. Here's another little remnant of the Paramount era, on-location refreshments. You Go Grill. I actually really like that name, that's really clever. But this is now Chicken Shack and a Beaver Tails place. But back then, it was just like a generic grill. You have burgers, onion rings. Hey, look at that, they had a Snoopy cup. A little Snoopy souvenir cup for only $9.09. That's less than the regular souvenir cups nowadays. Okay, this is actually where we have to make another decision. But this one's just kind of a coin flip decision. So I get to choose whether I want to go down International Festival or into Frontier Canada. And I'm going to use a coin. Instead of a loonie like last time, because the loonie was really loud, I'm actually just going to use a pressed penny that I have on my desk. And we're going to flip it. Heads will go to Frontier Canada, tails will go to International Festival. Let's give her a whirl. Okay, so we got heads, so we're going to Frontier Canada. Egads, look at that, it's a Togo stand-up. Skyrider is the only defunct roller coaster in the history of Canada's Wonderland. Which is weird to think about, but it kind of makes sense at the same time. But it also doesn't. Skyrider got removed in 2014, and then the place kind of just remained dormant for a little bit. And then in 2019, this entire area changed forever with one good old Yukon Striker. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of salty about Skyrider. Well, I'm not salty, I'm just disappointed at my 2013 self, because I was just barely tall enough to ride Skyrider in 2013, and then I didn't. I chickened out on it because I was too scared to ride it. So all of these park tours of old street views, they all have one area of the park that is just entirely unrecognizable, to the point where like it doesn't even feel like you're in the same park or at the same location of the park anymore. Kings Island had that over in Action Zone, Cedar Point had that at the front entrance, and this is the spot where that is for Canada's Wonderland. Part of that is because Skyrider doesn't exist anymore, but the main reason why is because Yukon Striker doesn't exist now. Now is in 2011, not now is in 2023. I should have clarified that. But this is so unrecognizable, really, to the point that I can't even really figure out where in the park to stand, so that way I can get a comparison shot to what it looks like nowadays. I think that I'm in about the right spot if I stand here. If I stand somewhere in here, I know that I have a video clip from 2021 that is about in this same location. I don't even know where the station building for Yukon would be right now. I think you'd actually be standing on the station if you were in this corner here, where the wooden fence and the chain link meet. But again, I actually just straight up don't know. Just doesn't look like the same area in any way. Look, you can even see Street View here. The path is completely different. This is the last section of the path that's normal, is right here. Because that path there, you can see that little separation where the direction of the stones change. That's the end of the path right now. And the path nowadays actually curves around and just cuts straight through where Skyrider used to be. It cuts up here and around, as opposed to back then. Man, that is strange. So I dropped that pin right on where the turn out of this station is for Yukon Striker. And in 2011, that was just a path with a basketball game. I was hoping that this was going to be a shorter recording. No, we're only like halfway done the park and we're at 43 minutes. I feel like I should just include this entire pack, right? Because this is gone. This is no longer existent. The wave pool here, or the lazy river here actually is. But this entire thing just doesn't exist. Because this coaster doesn't exist. Because in its place is a 245 foot tall dive coaster. How can you just brush over that? I kind of brushed over Orion at Kings Island, but that's just because it's all the way in the back corner of the park and you're not walking directly on top of where it was. Actually, I kind of want to talk about Soak City as well, because this was still when Soak City was a separate admission. Or I guess Splashworks, sorry. I don't know why it's only called Splashworks at Canada's Wonderland. But this was when Splashworks was still separate admission from the regular park, I think. But starting in 2021, they just made it same admission to the dry park and admission into the water park. Which I like that more, because it meant last year I was able to just walk in here, just walk over, get video of Behemoth and Mindbuster, and then leave. There's Street View in Splashworks, which is a bit of a problem, because I don't know anything about Splashworks. I have been here twice. I don't think that this little just random section of path exists anymore. And I don't know why Google person decided to walk around the entire section of path here. But that's cool. Thank you, Google person. Just in case I wanted a slightly different angle of Mindbuster from about a meter away. Thank you, Google person. See, this is why I avoided Soap City at Kings Island and Cedar Point Shores. Well, partially because I've literally never been to either of those, but also just because I don't know what to talk about. I don't know anything about water parks. You would think that I would after having been a huge amusement park nerd for 10 years, but I just know nothing about water parks. Hey, look at that. This is another section that got changed very recently. So recent, in fact, that I actually don't have video of it. I was last here before Tundra Twister opened, which is their big new Mondial, stupidly crazy flat ride. I've still not ridden it, because I've not been back to the park at all this summer. Now we get to go down... not Yukon Path. I always call this Yukon Path, but it's not. It's just Tree Path. Nowadays, you have all of Yukon's goodness over on your right side there, but back then you didn't. You just had an icy place that's closed. Because why is there an icy place here? Hey, we're back into Frontier Canada now. I have to make another coin flip, but I'm going to talk about this place first. This little trampoline pad doesn't exist anymore. I think it was 2017 or 2018 that this launch pad got removed and replaced with flying canoes, which is just a small little like family ride type of thing. I have a video of it. I don't know how to describe it, man. I've not ridden it either. This roadside deli place got replaced a couple times. No, I think it's still the Frontier Canada chicken place. And then this chippery, I think, just got replaced by something else that I can't remember. And then, of course, you don't have Yukon's big Immelman over here. We're bringing out the same pressed penny again. Heads, we're going to go down to Kidsville. Tails, we'll go down to International Festival. Let's see how it goes. Okay, it's heads again. I think it might just be that I'm really bad at flipping this coin. But I got heads, so we're going to Kidsville. This section of Kidsville is very slightly different. This is a really weird attraction. This little thing doesn't exist anymore because nowadays this is where the Flying Eagles exist. I don't know when this got added, when this got reviewed. This is literally the first time that I've ever seen this. I don't know how it never came up in all of my research for A Wonderful Park, but I guess it didn't. Candy Factory here, this little like play structure, it's mostly the same. I think the only thing is just that the name got changed to, I think it's called Maple Treeway now. Let's pop over to Zoom Zone. I bet you guys didn't even realize that this little section over here has a name. It's called Zoom Zone. You wanna know how big Zoom Zone is? It's this. There are 3 rides here. There's a frog hopper, it's a bus ride, and they have Silver Street. Why is this its own separate area? I don't know. I've never understood that. Shoutouts to this guy as well. Making our way through the back of Kidsville more. Most of this area is still the same. Hey! Look at that! That's our first employee shout out of this journey. Look at that, we're popping into Planet Soupy now. Planet Soupy's great, we love Planet Soupy. This little mini golf place is one of the rides that got changed. In 2021, it got replaced with Eagle Brigade Airfield, which is a little like... the best way I can describe it is a suspended mini twist. Not twist. It's a suspended mini whip. That's the best way I can describe it. It looks really fun. I think that there's another one of that model at Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. This little building here, this got just shifted around a bunch, I guess. This Snow Cones place got shifted over to where Tiny Tom's is. Tiny Tom's got moved up to International Festival, and then this place got a little bit of a redesign. I think it was mostly just like the menu got changed. Instead of chicken fingers and hot dogs, now they have grilled cheese and mac and cheese, I think. The grilled cheese here was really good, by the way. I can't remember if they had it in 2022, but I got it at the end of 2021 and it was really good. Wait a minute, look at that deal. That's actually a ridiculously good combo. The hot dogs kids combo. You get a little souvenir cup with it, and fries and the hot dog for $10.69. The hot dog itself is $4.29. The fries themselves are $3.99. So already that's $8.50. So you're only paying $2.10 for your souvenir cup. It's only a little souvenir cup, 12 ounces. I think that's 355 milliliters, so about the size of like a can of pop, but that's still pretty cute for only like, what, $2 more? That was the sound of me having a very conveniently placed can of ginger ale right next to me. Ooh, we get to talk about something new, something cool, something that I can actually talk about and kind of flex about, but not really. We get to talk about something interesting because this year, as in 2023, the little bit of area down here got kicked out, and back in this section where Dinosaurs Alive used to be, is now the one and only Snoopy's Racing Railway. But as I mentioned earlier, I was at Canada's Wonderland the second day that Snoopy's Racing Railway was open, because they didn't give it an official opening. It kind of just soft opened randomly the day before we went, and we didn't even know that it was open until we were already there. And I was like, wait a minute, Snoopy's is open. It was also rainy that day. It rained that morning, and then it was like really cloudy and overcast for the rest of the day, so it wasn't super crowded, especially for Snoopy's. I probably could have if I had just asked nicely. They probably would have let me ride it, but I was kind of too awkward to, and so instead I just spent an hour filming it instead. And I can flex that I was the first YouTube channel to get a video on Snoopy's Racing Railway out. Unless you count the live stream from the day before that Amusement Insiders did, I was the first channel that had a Snoopy's Racing Railway video posted. That's like a minor flex, but it's kind of cool, let's be real. Something that's funny about this area as well is that I don't think that I ever actually went back here until 2022. I think either 2022 or my last visit of 2021 was the first time that I ever went into this section. I don't even think I went back here in 2013, because I know I didn't ride any of these rides. It's better now because of Snoopy's Racing Railway, so you're going to have more people going back here, but yeah, it was not like that all the way up until then. Also, you can see something over here that's kind of neato. A little remnant of the park's past. This is one of the few buildings that exists in its original state, I should say, from when this section was originally the Happy Land of Hanna-Barbera. That used to be part of the whole Flintstones theming that they had all up in this area. And then that got slowly transformed over time after Paramount came in and turned this area into Nickelodeon Central, and then Cedar Fair came in and turned it into Planet Snoopy. A lot of the original design of this area and original theming got taken out, but this one little section here is one of the few things that exist, this one little building. It's not even a building, it's just like a thing. I think that there's like a photo spot in there or something like that. You have this great statue of Snoopy here, which one of my friends, I showed them a picture of the one at Cedar Point, and they said that it looks like Snoopy is squaring up, like he's getting ready to fight someone, and I will never be able to look at this statue the same again, because it really does. It really looks like he's like, square up, mate? You want to go for a fight? want to go for a tussle, but yeah, I'll never be able to see the statue again. Because he's just supposed to be like holding his arms out, like welcoming me to the area, and he's like, hey, welcome to Planet Snoopy. But now it looks like he's squaring up, like he's ready to like knock your lights out. And now you guys get to enjoy that wisdom as well. Boo Blasters. I think that this building got a repaint. I don't know why I remember this, but I think that Boo Blasters got a repaint in 2021. Actually, I think most of Planet Snoopy did. Okay, but now it's finally time to leave Planet Snoopy. We get to go across the Rainbow Bridge. The bat over here got a repaint. I do not remember when, but the supports got painted to a really dark gray, and I think that the track got repainted to a darker red. The fun shop over here, this is another small change, but this got turned into like a pop culture place. There's like a really big statue of the Incredible Hulk in there, and nowadays it's just completely filled with just like DC, Marvel, just like random souvenirs that are way more over-exorbitantly priced than they would be at just like an EB Games. And then there's also like a wall of Funko Pops in there now. I don't know why you're buying that type of stuff at Canada's Wonderland, but I guess people do. They did not walk up this path. That kind of throws a wrench into my plans. And that means that we get to cross over into Medieval Fair, where we get to notice that something is a little bit off with Wild Beast here. And the only thing that's off is a single vowel. Because Wild Beast, once the park was bought by Paramount, the name got changed to remove the E off of Wild. And then in 2019, it got changed again, and the E was added back. Just like the Mr. Sub at the front of the park, this Mr. Sub over here got turned into a Subway. Montreal smoked meat on rye. That sounds pretty good, actually. It seems like Cedar Fair cared a lot more about their food back then. Or at least they tried to market it like they did. Like, they don't call them, like, char-grilled burgers anymore. It's just like, it's a burger, man. You know that it's just gonna be, like, amusement park slop, so we're not gonna pretend like it isn't. Ooh, the Rage. How spooky is that? I don't know if it was part of the 2019 renaming, but it got its name changed a little while ago to Vikings Rage. And Nightmares got its name changed to Wild Nightmares. It's a lot of Crazy Frog. That's too much Crazy Frog. So, we're over here, and this is the section of the park that you're probably all wondering about. Hey, where's the Giga? Where's the Giga? I'll tell you what, it's not here because it was beginning construction during this time. This was actually before it got announced because there would have been signage around here. But August 2011, that means that this would have been taken only like a week or two before it got announced. On the 18th of August 2011, so there's a slightly less than a 3-week window, 2.5 week window that this street view could have been taken. Why was this here? Why did Paramount add this here? This is the medieval section of the park. Why did they put Cyber Central over here, this like 2000s futuristic type of building? Paramount did not care about keeping the aesthetics of Medieval Fair just at all. Especially since they also put in Drop Tower, and over on the other side they put in Riptide. Like, they just don't fit the area at all. And like Laser Blast, like why is there laser tag here? This is the medieval section of the park. I mean, I'm not saying that Cedar Fair cares anymore. They put a Giga here. But at least the Giga fits.
It's so strange seeing this section with no Leviathan. Nobody over here. Because why would you really be going over to Medieval Fair before 2012? And nowadays, this is like one of the most crowded sections in the park because you have all of the people going to Leviathan. The dynamics of guest distribution in the park is so different from how it is nowadays. I guess I didn't actually talk about it, but Cyber Central here got turned into the Arcadium sometime after this was recorded. Again, I can't entirely remember the names of stuff like that, or the years that stuff like this happened. I can tell you when like each roller coaster was added, but not for little things like this. Dragonfire over here is another ride that got changed back, I should say, in 2019. It got changed back to the old spelling where it's Fire F-Y-R-E. And it got a new sign, which the old sign actually looks better, I'm not gonna lie. Did they go back into Courtyard? They did go back into Courtyard. Huh, look at that. Well, they went as far as you could. This guy's on thin ice. Is that sign... Okay, cast members only. At least it's not do not open. This guy would have been eviscerated if that was a do not open sign. You're lucky, buddy. Heading over to Canterbury Theatre and the Marketplace. Marketplace has undergone a couple of changes. They don't have the buffet there anymore. They removed it in 2021. I'll let you take a guess as to why. And then they didn't re-add it in 2022. They just changed it to a regular restaurant because the entire buffet industry had just kind of collapsed after 2020. Oh, I guess it wasn't called I guess it wasn't called Canterbury Theatre back then. It was called Wonderland Theatre. Huh. And we're gonna pop up on this right side first, because this side hasn't really changed a ton. Thunder Run is still all the exact same. This hot potato section here, this got turned into Alpine Cheesery, which also has grilled cheese of lesser quality than the ones in Planet Snoopy. I don't know why they're worse than the ones in Planet Snoopy, but they just are. All-Star Shootout here. This got replaced with, I think it's called the Marketplace, which is just kind of like Wonderland's equivalent of a convenience store. Like you can get like little pre-packaged sandwiches and small bags of chips and stuff like that you could find, like fresh fruit as well. Just all different types of stuff that you would find at like a Circle K or like one of those like convenience stores that you find on like the on routes. How many people are at the fly today? Too many people. That's the answer. That's the answer for every day that the fly has ever been opened. Too many people are waiting for it. This Pro Putt mini golf here also got removed. I don't know where in the park that is, but I think it's where Lumberjack is now. It's not. It's where Soaring Timbers is now. Hey! Soaring Timbers! That's one that we can talk about. A 2017 addition to the park. It's not great. Also, this was before, because this was before the 2019 refresh, there's no Frontier Canada like archway sign. And Vortex still has its old logo. Its old logo that it actually shared, I should say. This is the old logo that it shared with the one at Kings Island, the Vortex at Kings Island, although they fixed it so that way it actually has the suspended trains and not the sit-down trains of Vortex at Kings Island. And that's why the track was this color, because that's the color of the one that was at Kings Island, and for some reason they didn't bring the color scheme over to the Canada's Wonderland one. Vortex also has too long of a wait. I guess I was kind of right in saying that this mini golf is where Lumberjack is too, because this is where Lumberjack is right now. Lumberjack is a great ride, by the way. It's kind of tucked away, so not a lot of people really ride it. But
It's absolutely worth getting on. I love Lumberjack. Aw, he didn't go up the path for Timberwolf Falls. What, you didn't want to go stand on the bridge with your ridiculously expensive 360-degree camera? Come on. I did it. I actually did that 4 times because I kept messing up when I was recording it. I fat-fingered a couple times and my finger got in the lens, so I had to record that 4 times. No way he didn't go down this path. Oh no. Oh no, he didn't go down this path. We have to go around the long way. Pizza Panzerotti? They had Panzerottis at Pizza Pizza? Whoa. Those were probably not good, but man, now I really want the Panzerotti. Hey, this is something that's different. Hey, did you notice something as we were walking down here? Wonder Mountain's Guardian isn't here. Because it doesn't exist in 2011, it got added in 2014. Hey, this is another little thing that's different over... No way he didn't walk down this path. No way he didn't walk down this path. Oh no. I needed to go down this path. I needed to talk about Lazy Bear Lodge. Oh no. I can't really talk about it from here. I guess I can. This is where Lazy Bear Lodge is now. It's the big new restaurant edition that was added in 2022. Oh no, I actually might have to jump. I might actually have to jump over. I really didn't want to, but I need to talk about this little section of the park. I can't. He just straight up did not go down there, so I have to talk about it overhead. Why did it kick me out here? What? Let's just talk about this section on its own then. So, this section is pretty different in one way, and that way is Skyhawk. Skyhawk was not here in 2011, it got added 2016. This little hill here is where it would be. When was Slingshot added? Was Slingshot around when this was taken? Hang on a second. This might have been the second park in a row where I forgot to talk about a Slingshot. Oh my god. It continues. The tradition never dies, I suppose. At least this time I didn't have a park map right next to me.
And with that, that's the end of our little journeys through amusement park street views. I would love to do more of this series sometime in the future, but I just don't think I'll be able to because a lot of the parks that I have visited, I haven't visited since before 2019. So even like just my own personal like memories of the parks would already be several years outdated, and a couple of them would probably be older than the street views. I remember I did check at Hershey Park's street view, but it's actually newer than when I went, because I went to Hershey Park in 2017 and the street view is from 2018. Depending on how many parks I get to in the future, I might bring this series back, but for now, I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then a subscription to the channel would be greatly appreciated, so that way you can keep all up to date with new Atomic Coasters uploads. Until then, take care and ride on.